Hey, what's up? MySpace is Janicia, and welcome to my page.
I just loved attention. I loved male attention. If I wasn't in a relationship with someone, as soon as I broke up with them, I was talking to 5 dudes. Like, my period was 2 months late. I started freaking out because I thought I was pregnant. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's Janicia, and in this video, I want to share my testimony, and I'm just going to hop right into it. So I grew up as a holiday Christian. Basically, me and my mother would go to church on Easter, sometimes Mother's Day, or any random Sunday throughout the year. So I knew of God, but I was not familiar with him. My grandparents had bought me a Bible, but it would stay in my dresser. I never pulled it out, never read it, didn't know anything. Quick side note, I remember my cousin who was a Christian told me about a story in the Bible about a fish eating a man. And I was like, they got fish eating people in the Bible? What is going on? I didn't know nothing, okay? Nothing. But at an early age, I was always bombarded by sexuality, sexual images, people showing their stuff to me. Sexuality was everywhere around me. And at 11, I started to masturbate. That's when I started. And by 12, I got my first boyfriend, and we had started to discuss sex. Pretty much said that we would do it. And then at 12 years old, I lost my virginity. Funny thing is, a week before that, my parents had finally had the talk with me, the birds and the bees talk, but it was too late because I had already made up my mind. I had already made up a plan, and me and my boyfriend was about to get down the next week, and we did. Now, there was never an explanation of why I did things and didn't do some things. I just didn't have a reason not to. If I wanted to try something, I tried it. If I wanted to do something, I did it. I didn't have a standard to live by, so I basically did whatever. And then shortly after, at 13, I started smoking weed. At 14, I started drinking alcohol. And then at 16, I started sneaking into clubs. So within 5 years, I was doing a lot of things that 18 plus, 21 plus people were doing at a very early age. Now, I was never a super promiscuous person. Sex to me was with the people that I was in relationship with. The problem was that I never liked to stay in relationships because ultimately I was just seeking a thrill. Like, I like that initial honeymoon stage of being attracted to someone and then falling for me, and that was good enough for me. And then I was like, I got bored and I broke up with them. I later realized what that was, but in the moment, I just loved it. I just loved attention. I loved male attention. If I wasn't in a relationship with someone, as soon as I broke up with them, I was talking to 5 dudes. Not having sex with them, but just talking to them. Then I would get in a relationship, then I would be with them for a couple of months, break up with them, and be talking to more dudes. Like, I loved that thrill. I loved the attention that I got from it. I found my worth in that attention that I got.
Hey, what's up? MySpace is Janicia, and welcome to my page.
And it was kind of like a game to me to see how many guys that I can get to be attracted to me. It was a game per se because I wasn't waving sex in front of them because I was not having sex with majority of these people. I fed off the energy of how many people can be trying to pursue me and, you know, fight over me or come after me. I felt better about myself based on how many guys liked me. But I would get tired of it really quickly. And as soon as I seen a flaw in that guy, I was on to the next.
Hey you guys, I'm going to do one video for today, and it's Rihanna and Eminem, Love the Way You Lie.
I used to toot my horn on that, the fact that I never got broken up with or cheated on or dumped. I always broke up with the guy. But fast forward, like, I realized how empty I was. I was just searching. I was just hungry. I was just empty. And I did that, and I broke so many hearts to feed this beast, like this horrible mentality, this broken heart that I had.
I do want to pause right here and say that I didn't go into relationships intentionally thinking that I was going to break this person's heart. What I did was I went in hopeful, I went in excited, I found someone new, and then eventually this cycle or this pattern in me started again, and I would lose interest and I would break up. And I wanted to be with that person. I didn't go in like, ooh, I'm gonna be with him for 3 months and I'm gonna break his heart. I never did that. I generally went in, hopeful, ready to start this new relationship, ready to, hopefully fall in love and all these things. It just never happened. And I just had this repetitive cycle that I never could put my finger on. I just felt like I was just somebody who got bored quick. I didn't know that it was something else going on.
And then I went into the last relationship that I would get into before everything changed. I got into this relationship with this guy that I really didn't want to be with, but at this time I was reaching like a dry spell. Like I hadn't been with anybody for a while. I hadn't been in a relationship for a while, and I wanted to be with someone else. This was one of the first times where I was actually single in my life. Single, not talking to anybody, not dating anybody, not talking to anybody. Phone is dry, cut off everybody from the past. I was just single. I met this guy and he wasn't really my type. He wasn't really who I wanted, but he was there. I was single. This is what I do. So I started dating him, and then we became sexually active. Now I was on birth control, but I was not consistent with it. I would take it about 95% of the time, but sometimes I would not take it. So there was a point in a relationship where my period was late. And when I say late, I mean late. Like my period was 2 months late. Now for this was alarming, but it wasn't super alarming for me because most of my life, I had been someone who had irregular periods where missing 2 months, 3 months at the max was somewhat normal. But because I am being sexually active and knowing that I had missed some birth control pills, I started freaking out because I thought I was pregnant. At this time, I'm 20 years old. And in that moment, I started to think about my life and realized how many bad decisions that I have made, and realizing that I had essentially ran my life into a brick wall. And I was like, I don't want to do this no more. Like, I don't want to be the captain of my life anymore, because I'm sitting here just living life however I wanted to, but I'm still empty. I'm still yearning for something that I never get fulfilled with. And so I'm experimenting and trying all these things and just living my life however I want. And I still cry at night. Like, something's not working. And I realized I obviously can't make the best decisions. Like, I need some kind of help, right? And then I realized, like, I don't know what's best for me. Like, I don't know my purpose. I know for sure that this is not my husband. I don't want to have a baby right now. And I never knew God for myself. I only knew him from the occasional Sundays of going to church. But something in me knew that I needed him. Like, I didn't need a counselor. I didn't need a therapist. I didn't need a friend. I didn't need anything. I needed divine help. I needed Jesus. I needed the one who wrote my manual, who created me, to help me. I never felt like this before. Like, I never had a come to Jesus moment. I never felt like life was out of control and I didn't know how to handle it. And so one day I just laid down on the ground crying in my room, and I was like, Jesus, I need you. If you please get me out of this, I will serve you for the rest of my life. And I meant that thing. So after I gave my life to God, I started to go to church and I started to read the Bible, all of that. Now, pause real quick. I still don't know if I'm pregnant or not because I refused to take a pregnancy test. And I was young at the time. I didn't think the pregnancy tests that they sell at the store were legit. I thought they were like baby tests. I thought the ones that are at the doctor's office were real tests. I set an OBGYN appointment for a pap smear, and I was like, oh, they're gonna test me there. So, I'm just gonna wait until my appointment to get an official real test because I need to know for sure. I didn't need no fake faint line on no test scaring me. I need to know. So in the meantime, in between time, I went to church, I started reading the Bible, I started just really going hard after God. And I started to really be happy to be with God. Like, it was like I was starting a new relationship, that new like freshness that I was searching for in all these men. Like, I was starting that with Jesus. And at this time, I really got to know God, because prior to this, I only thought of God as a genie in a bottle. You know, someone you go to when you down and out. And yeah, I was down and out, but I just began to develop a relationship with him and desire him and desire to spend time with God. And I realized, like, he wanted a relationship with me back, and he knew me. He knew so much about me. He knew everything about me. And he wanted to talk to me, and he loved me. And I was like, wait, what? And I even had old boy coming to church with me as well. Like, I was serious about this thing. We stopped having intercourse together. We started going to church. Like, I was just sold out on this thing. And then we come to the day where I have that long-awaited doctor's appointment for the real test that I thought I was gonna get. So the appointment was set for later in the day, probably about like 2 p.m. And so this is the morning time, and I'm in my room, and Joyce Myers comes on TV, and I'm watching her. And the message was on change, right? And I was just so into this message. Like, it was just really like gripping me. And I was like, yeah, I want to change. Yeah, I'm in the process of changing, and I really want it. And you know, at the end of her sermon, she sells like a book or some type of disc or CD set with further teaching on that exact same message. So this was my first time ever doing anything like this. But I picked up that phone right away. I called that number and I ordered my disc. I ordered my 4-disc set because I was very serious. And I put down the phone after, and I was like, I said a prayer. I didn't know how to pray still. I was a baby. I didn't know nothing. But I was like, God, I really am serious. I am going to change. And so I went, and this maybe was around 10 a.m. and I went and laid down, and I decided I was going to take a nap before my doctor's appointment. I took a nap, and I was startled, and I woke up out of my sleep because, this is a little TMI, but women know this. When you're coming on your cycle, it can kind of feel like you peed on yourself, or something's like a little moist, a little wet down there, okay? And so I woke up out of my sleep because I was like, what is this? What am I feeling? So I ran to the bathroom and I checked, and my period had came on, right? And when I say I let out the loudest, biggest scream, shout, I went crazy, right? It was the best day ever. And I was like, God, you heard me. And I felt like in that moment, from the beginning, I know I wasn't pregnant. I didn't know I wasn't pregnant, but obviously I was not pregnant. But God waited until this day for my period to come on, for this whole series of events to happen, for me to realize that I needed him, and that I was not in the position that I needed to be, like that I was living my life completely absent of him and making all the wrong decisions. So I called up the doctor and I canceled my appointment, and I have been on fire for God ever since, because I kept my promise. I said, Lord, if you get me out of this, I will serve you for the rest of my life. And ever since then, I have been celibate. I broke up with that guy because he was not really with the whole waiting till marriage thing, because he tried me again, and we was about to stumble, and I was like, yeah, we're not finna do this. And I have been pursuing God with everything in me, including my body and my sexuality. And I gave it all to God. Now, along the way, I have had a lot of mess ups. I have had a lot of regrets. I have met different men that I thought were the one who really weren't the one. Just different things that I've learned over this process. Though I surrendered that to God, he has given me back so much more. I've had the best time of my life. I've been on this adventure of self-discovery. I have traveled this world. I have moved to 3 different states. I've started several businesses. I've learned really and truly who I am and my worth. I fell in love with myself because I realized I hated myself, and a lot of childhood trauma caused me to look at myself a certain way, and it was the reason why I acted a certain way as well. But I'm so thankful that for these last 12 years I have did life with God. I have seen so many amazing things, so many blessings, I've got so many revelations, gained so much wisdom, so much favor, so much direction. I know my purpose, I know where I'm going, I know who is supposed to be in my life and who is not. I'm just over the moon. And I really hope that this testimony helped you, inspired you. If you know Jesus, keep going. If you don't know Jesus, He is waiting for you. He loves you. He has a plan and a purpose for you. And He is literally one prayer away. I also put a prayer down in the description box if you would like to get to know Jesus. Well, that's it for me today. If you can relate to this, go ahead and like the video and leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. And go ahead and subscribe, because I would love to see you more often, and I have more content like this as well. And I'll see you later.